Okay, what's up, AP Calc? Little emergency lesson here. Cracked some codes on some things we were talking about today. So, we were talking about this limit, which had a composite function, has a function inside a function. And the idea was we were seeing the words below and above, and we made up some rules that we thought that applied to that. But really, it doesn't have much to do with that. It really, we're talking about piecewise functions, right? Within a graph. So if you look at this piecewise function, they're talking about as x approaches -1. So if you think about a piecewise function where everything's based off this 2 here, right? Mostly you have this 2 here. We see that this part of the graph here is really talking about the left side of the piecewise, right? If this is x is less than 2 and this is x then greater than 2, we're talking about this limit of this piecewise here as it approaches from left, right? I'm writing a word. So when we talk about the composite being, or if the function being a composite, we're going to use this 5 value because our piecewise came from the left. Therefore, we're going to use the value of as x approaches 2, right? Because here at -1, x is 2. So because we're talking about the left side of the graph, we're going to talk about this x approaching 2 from the left because we're talking about basically the left side of the piecewise. So PW, the piecewise. So we're going to say that the limit of x as it approaches 2 from the left, we're going to say that this is 5. And the reason we're not saying 2 is because our limit, our limit came our left side of our piecewise. So here's an example where we can look at the left side of the piecewise and the right side of the piecewise. So let's look at this one in blue here. It's telling us to look at f of x as x approaches -1. Here the value for that is 2, right? But the idea is we're looking at the left side. We're looking at the left side of the piecewise, right? This piecewise has 2 pieces to it. You have this blue line, which would be, let's just say the blue line would be the value that's x is less than 2. And then maybe, since we'll do this one in red, your piecewise, this red line is the line that represents the part that's greater than in the piecewise. Whatever equation would come with that. So since we're talking about the left side of this piecewise, we want to talk about the limit. Let me switch to blue there. We want to talk about the limit of f of x as approaches 2, right? Because the limit of f of x as it approaches 1 is 2. So we want to talk about as it approaches 2 from the left, because our graph is coming from the left side. So as it comes from the left, here, we see that our limit is 1. Where conversely, we're looking as x approaches 4. Let's add a little, let's make sure we have, as x approaches 4 from both sides, it has a limit of 2. Yet, because it's representing this right side of the piecewise, the right side of the piecewise, our right side here, we're going to choose 2 when 2 coming from the right. See, here we came from the left because the blue represents the left side of our piecewise. Here we're coming from the right because this function, as x approaches 4, has a limit of 2 as it approaches from the right side. So when we do our limit of f of x here, we're going to say it's approaching from the right side, which is different from the blue line, which we approach from the right side. And notice that your limit for this, instead of being 1, as it was here, it's now going to be 2 because we're looking at it. Let's switch to purple. We're looking at it from the right side because our piecewise function was here on the right. So I hope this clears up kind of how to look at a graph from a piecewise standpoint. You're looking at it, you're reading the graph as far as continuous on the left versus continuous on the right. And of course, we'll be looking at examples when we get into class on Friday.